This episode is for all those that have an idea and don't believe that you may have the skill sets to make it happen, to make that magic happen, because it just seems like, oh gosh, there's so many things that I have to learn. You know, we all have so many ideas, and a lot of the times we talk ourselves out of trying it. They have this philosophy that is the difference between action and inaction is 5 seconds. So I just want you to think about this. So I got the chance to chat with Amanda, who has started this amazing company called Salty Paloma, and she actually has zero background in food and yet launched a line of natural cocktail rimmers. Like, that is brilliant. And she actually sits down and gives us some amazing marketing tips that helps making you find your target audience less scary. And she talks about some of the tools that she used to get, build her business and her brand, and how much she tried to experiment. And now she's doing really well because, she launched it in 2017 and this is now 2019. And it's amazing because she's now fully 100% working on her business for the past year. She's hired her first employee. She's got expansion ideas that we talk about. And it's just amazing to come from something that you were kind of curious about and recognize. And then I'm going to try it out. So she is definitely an inspiration. I definitely found her very inspiring. So I really hope on this episode that you get a little inspired to take that action and test out some ideas and concepts. The last thing anyone wants to do is have that coulda, shoulda, woulda, cycle of regret and, of going, why didn't I invent that Post-it note or whatever it was? And I'm not going to say life is short, but you know what? You owe it to your future self to be a bit adventurous and embrace those things that you're curious and intrigued about. When we first come out of university or college, every one of us had dreams that we can change the world and do different things. And then somehow we get into, grow a little older and we lose that. So, you know what? Those are the things that you're curious and intrigued about. Go ahead, check it out, try it out and see what it is, because you never know where the journey can take you. And more importantly, what opportunities open up. So I hope you get inspired as much as I did. Cheers. Welcome to the CanInnovate podcast, the first ever podcast designed to showcase Canadian thought leadership. These innovators share industry insights, entrepreneurial best practices, lessons learned, and other tips that we can incorporate right into our lives, our careers, and our businesses. So let's get inspired. So I'm pretty excited. I've got Amanda Chen, who's actually the founder of Salty Paloma, a line of naturally flavored salts and sugars handcrafted here in Toronto. Now, she's an actual interesting character because she noticed a gap in when there was a higher demand in higher quality spirits and mixers, but nothing on garnishes, which is a huge aspect of the entire experience of the whole balanced cocktail. So she actually has no background in food or business, and she creates these amazing products in her home kitchen and started making sales within the first month of launching. And then she's expanded into cocktail classes, in-house bartending, and doing all these amazing special events. And in her previous life, this is what gets me, she was a journalist, a turned copywriter, a turned digital strategist, and then she walked away from it all and giving her 100% herself into this business. So welcome, Amanda. There's a lot we can learn from you.
Thank you.
I'm so curious that you've went from being a journalist to copywriter to digital strategist and now the founder of this whole business. Like, it feels completely different fields, like completely.
Yeah, totally.
So how did this all come about?
So I wanted to make margaritas at home. So I got all the materials I needed except for the lime salt. So that means I had my tequila, I had my limes that I was going to freshly squeeze. I wanted to make like high quality margaritas at home that you wouldn't really get at a restaurant. And they just had that gross neon green sugary stuff that you find in that really cheap looking tin. And then I realized that there's a gap here. There's a trend in general for better quality mixers and spirits, but no one really did anything for the garnishes. So if you're going to go through all those steps and then ruin it at the end with like terrible salt, it kind of just ruins the whole experience. So I wanted the full package. And then I figured if no one's marketing to cocktails specifically on garnishes, why not start now? That way I kind of had zero competition to work with. It's a completely new space for me to just reinvent what that even means. I think a lot of my experience with advertising and marketing kind of helped to shape what that possibility could be. And I remember, as you said, my background is in magazine journalism, specifically in beauty. So I always thought that a dream job for me would be to be the person to name the products for those OPI nail polishes, because every season they'd always release some new flavors or new colors with names on them.
Yeah.
So pretty much Salty Paloma was that for me, where I got to name all the products, put personalities to them, and kind of exercise my own creativity in that way. And, no one really saying, oh, well, this isn't the flavor you're allowed to use, or this one, isn't on season. I remember, doing a spring edition of something, and it's always like, has to be florals, has to be, pastels, has to be whatever the trend is. And it's always the same trend every single year. No one actually goes past that. So it's really like, oh my God, I'm allowed to do whatever I want, and no one's going to say, you can't do this. So
that's so cool. So out of curiosity, what are some of your names for some of your blends?
Yeah, so I started off with Fiesta, which was, the party girl, margarita girl. That was the, I guess, OG flavor with Himalayan sea salt, lime, and grapefruit. The whole personality of Salty Paloma was a bit edgy. That girl that just kind of wants to be extra, the one that just wears unnecessary accessories. That's kind of the point of, adding those garnishes on the drink. You don't need them, but it does elevate that whole experience. And it's more of a look, a lifestyle that you want to embody. To go against the Fiesta girl, we had Heartbreaker. So that was just a raw cane sugar with grapefruit. You can use that in old fashions. You can use that in mimosas. You can also use that on a margarita. So it's kind of that girl next door person with like a sweet tooth, but then also, is the type that's going to break your heart. So that was kind of where I started with Heartbreaker. The tagline for her was, so sweet it hurts. And then I kind of had another one, which was my favorite chocolates was those Lindt chocolate bars. The one with dark chocolate and chili. So I originally grounded those in like a magic bullet. and basically all the chocolate would melt, and then whatever I had left of it, I would try to make a salt out of it. And I just wanted to bring that flavor back. So eventually I found all the raw materials to put that together. So we had raw cacao nibs as well as chili flakes, grapefruit again, and Himalayan sea salt, and that was called Dynamite. And that was really, for the wild things out there. So yeah.
I love that. So basically each of the flavors have a different kind of persona that's attached to it. Mm-hmm. That is really cool. So is primarily you're marketing to females, or is it both, or?
Yeah, I primarily marketed the product towards BYOB, the Cocktail Emporium, because they're kind of the main shop in Toronto that anyone would go to for cocktail materials. So they had a very girly looking feel. They've got like a pink brick house. So I just wanted to make sure my products would sit on their shelves and stand out and match their look. And most of the times it would be women purchasing the ingredients for whatever party that they're organizing. But I realized my actual clientele, like online, is actually like 50-year-old grandmas that really like alcohol, that really like good quality alcohol and drinks and making their own drinks. And they kind of want to support the underdog in that sense. So it's been wild to to notice who actually buys my product versus the people that I would market to. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. And with no, background in food, it's kind of really crazy that you're able to do this. Like, so you had to really learn about product development and then, packaging and all those things.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get it all off the ground? Because that must have been really overwhelming and kind of, wow, I've got an idea. I have no background in it, but how do I make magic happen?
Yeah. I just set a goal. So I said launch January 1st, 2017. Didn't know if I had a name, if I had a website, if I had labels, what the price was. I was just going to put it up. And every time I started to put something together, I realized, oh my God, I'm missing this. So I put up the site and realize I don't have a logo, or I don't have a name, or I don't have a label. I don't have a bottle to put the labels on. Like, I had all these things that I had no idea what to do. So it was really just trial and error, and I just wanted it to exist. And I thought, I can always adapt later.
And getting labels made and stuff like that, and products and stuff, was it difficult, or is there a lot of services out there now?
There's a lot of services that can help you make those designs. I also had no background in Photoshop or design or anything like that, so I ended up making all of them myself. I had templates for the website. Shopify is really great for that. They also have a online support system that kind of helps you put things together, or you can get those extra services where you have someone just do the whole thing for you. But I kind of like to get involved myself so that I have full control over everything. Once you get into it, it doesn't take a lot. After my first year, I realized there was a lot of design flaws that I wouldn't have known. But it's not a problem to change it. So I think our culture now, like, we're not married to, it has to look like this and it has to look like this for the next 20 years. You can always adapt and change your fonts and, go with whatever the demand is going.
Shopify is another Canadian huge success story. So it's really cool that you ended up using Shopify to get things kind of launched. Did you find them really helpful and useful?
Yeah. It's so easy to navigate through their platform. When I first started, I think it was about 4 months in, I started to apply to a bunch of local markets around the city. And using their Shopify POS system, they gave you like a Square card reader that was just for Shopify owners. They had, immediate support, 24-hour support. They also had a lot of fun networking events at the actual Shopify office, which is in Toronto. So yeah, it was a great community as well.
That's amazing. So you must have learned a lot of really cool things. So has there been any big aha moments that you're like, oh, I wish someone had told me that?
Yeah, I wish that someone told me that, like, just to believe in myself a little bit more. I was like super ambitious and really wanted to get my product out, but I could have risked a lot more in my investment. I went like very zero risk, zero investment. I used everything as and when I got it, which made my profits actually smaller than it could have been if I actually invested in the beginning and got all the materials in bulk. So hitting year 2 is when I was able to make those larger orders and feel confident about that, and realize the difference. And like, if I just did that from the beginning, I'm lucky because I'm using products that don't go bad. They don't expire. The products are assembled, like I don't have to cook the products, make them in a specific way. Everything's raw. So I was just afraid of sitting on inventory where I could have done a better cost analysis, where I realized I just wanted to, break even or, get rid of all of my inventory in a specific way so that I would be able to see those profits in a bigger way.
But it sounds like it's a smart idea to be a little conservative in the beginning, and while you're kind of doing your trial and error, and then you'll be able to kind of scale from there.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because it's my first gig. So I think my plan is to launch more products in the future. So having that first understanding of, completely no idea what I'm doing and starting from nothing, and going really carefully to now feeling confident and being able to take those bigger risks, knowing what the results will be.
And you've been now, you actually are 100% focused on this business now for the past, year now? So you walked away from everything and you've got everything in this now.
Yeah, it's crazy. This year I've been able to hire my first employee. So that's been exciting, and to kind of grow in that way, which I've never really had to manage another senior employee before, having skill sets that I don't possess. Usually I've had people under direct from me where I would know what the job entailed and I would be able to coach them. So this is a very different experience now. And then the cocktail classes that just launched last year, and that was just to open up a service side to Salty Paloma. And the cocktail classes have been just a fantastic idea. People have been loving it. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Well, I'm definitely going to sign up for one of your cocktail classes. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because I am dying to learn how to make a good cocktail or two. Do you guys do any gin-based cocktails?
Yeah, for sure. We have a gin sour that we use in our cocktail class, and that has gin and Saint Germain, lemon, and egg whites. We teach people how to do a double shake so that you can get as much foam. We have a little like foam contest to see who shakes with the best froth. Yeah, and then and pretty much all of the cocktails we do, we either we incorporate Salty Paloma through actually directly putting the product into the drink or having it on the rim. So there's various ways that we'll teach you on how to use the product.
You already had me at the cocktail making class, but yeah, now you can double have me at the gin part. So yeah, you win. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So being that your background is so cool, like, you've got, this digital strategist, copywriter, like, those are really amazing skills. Would you be able to share like a sales or marketing tip?
Yeah. Don't make yourself the target consumer. I think a lot of people make the mistake thinking, oh, I have this product, I have this need, so everyone else must have the same need in the exact same way, which, you're actually the anomaly in that picture. So if you narrow down your targeting too much or try to be too relatable to just one specific customer, also it can backfire the same way when you're too general. So you kind of have to find that healthy pocket where you want to target 4 or 5 specific groups with a personality. So you want to target them more in their mindset versus, this is this person at this age, at this life stage. You want someone that's, a 9-to-5er that usually plans all the parties and has a lot of parties every month, is kind of the, hostess with the mostest type personality. And, regardless of their age, you can find various ways to target that one person or one group in that mentality.
I love that. It's really hard to kind of define, a couple of target markets. Like, you really got to test and play these things out, right? Like, there's no cookie cutter model to it.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think that's another thing. Like, if you fail, just keep trying. You might actually have the right customer. You're just not speaking to them at the right time or in the right way for them to notice you. I started off with my products being very gift centered. So a lot of people would buy them, but then I realized people wanted them as part of a package. So no one's just going to go and buy salts alone or buy a pack of salts alone. They'd want to get it together with a mixer or a cocktail tool or something else so that there's a full package. And that's something I learned. So I ended up partnering more with my retailers and strengthening those relationships rather than me going direct, because I don't have, a full shop of all the other accessories.
Mm. You must be a really good researcher and a person that likes to learn it all, because being that you've gone from, so much different industries to this, you must have had to kind of take a look at things and learn and, probe and test more things out. So did you have like a book or something that you kind of, as a tool that you kind of use to kind of help you get over some of your learning curve?
No, I mean, I wish I did. I guess I've always had a knack for searching and researching and finding things out, but I also made sure to execute that. So when I was a journalist, I did a lot of cold calls. I'm used to getting rejections, so I'm used to people saying no. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep going, because somebody's going to pick up the story. If it's not this magazine, it's a different one. And to maintain that mentality and continue going for it. When I moved into my marketing digital role, when we were trying to find, or even still in journalism, when we're trying to find agents to speak to certain celebrities, or now moving on to kind of social influencer stuff, trying to find their agents or, get quotes from certain people, you really have to stalk people, hunt them down, find their contacts. And I was always notorious for the person to be able to find email contacts or phone numbers somehow. I went through deep dark holes in the internet to find those contacts. As soon as you get into human contact, you're one step in. So I think another great way to do that is speak to existing customers. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you get that human contact, realize what their journey was to get to where they are, it'll help you shape your understanding of and kind of be in their shoes a bit better.
That is brilliant advice. I love that you are you really are an amazing researcher / stalker / but it's amazing because there's so much information out there, but you got to dig, right? And so it's amazing that you've got that hunger and you've got the hunter mentality to be able to do that and see that, because a lot of people don't have that DNA. They would probably stop at the first few rejections.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was hard. Like I think I learned at a really young age to be used to rejection. And you, like as a writer, you will be rejected. I think my saddest moment was, I think I was 21 and I applied to Men's Health for their Girl Next Door advice column. And they responded saying, "You've got a fantastic portfolio. You're a great writer. You're just not the girl next door." And I was super offended. And then I just realized that, yeah, you're right. I'm just not that personality. But you get rejections in the most silly ways. And then you realize afterwards that like it wasn't even what you wanted to begin with. So
sometimes it's just like throwing a little bit of spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly.
So what's next for you? So you've got this whole business launched. You've hired your first employee. What's next on your horizon?
Salty Paloma is moving on to grocery. So we're speaking to a couple grocery stores to get that into grocery stores, and hopefully that'll be like a national thing for Salty Paloma. We're going to launch a couple new flavors as well. I'm doing a matcha coffee flavor as well as a hibiscus strawberry salt for the summer. And recently, it's been fantastic. It's been a year of me being full-time Salty Paloma and being able to maintain the same standard of living that I have now, working completely on my own, that I've actually freed up a lot of time. So I'm now starting this year-long initiative in partnership with the Barbara Schleifer Clinic, where we hold monthly events where we feature various women in the city. And I think I needed at this time to hear other women's stories and their journeys, since a lot of the time you only hear the success stories, the success stories of, very specific people. So I think now is a good time where people have their ears out and they do want to hear those stories. So I'm kind of getting back into my writing world, where I do little portraits and bio of these women that I meet. And kind of share their stories, the good, the bad, like the whole side of those journeys. So that's what I'm working now.
That's amazing, because I think people definitely need to hear that, because there's so many things and that's one of the things I love about this podcast is I've learned so much from the people's journeys itself. I was talking to Planswell and they were talking about how they entered every startup pitch contest that there was and they got serially rejected, but they ended up getting VC tons of funding anyways. And they were, so just because people just don't hear, there's been a lot of hard knocks that people get, but they just keep going through it. You just try a different avenue. It's like testing. You're constantly testing and tweaking and you're like, okay, that didn't resonate. I'm going to try something else. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to read those. Definitely. So when you get some downtime between, not, building your business, shaking cocktails and anything else, is there anything that you do to kind of balance yourself out, to kind of, get that break? I recently got into boxing. I think it's a great cardio workout, and it's also just like a stress reliever for me. I remember not boxing for a week, and I could just feel the pent up anger that I had. So, it's definitely a new exercise that I really enjoy. I love it. You get all that pent up frustration, and you get it all out. That's a smart way. I love it. Mm-hmm. So finally, how can our listeners connect with you, and how can they get these products? Because I have 2 friends that are going to be dying for this, because they always do Margarita Fridays. It's been their thing that they've been doing for every Friday for past, 6 years. So they're definitely going to want to get their hands on this. So how can they connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Salty Paloma, or you can also find me on my personal, which is at Miss Amanda Chen. I also am the bar manager at Pray Tell, which is that college in Ossington. So if you do want to come in and actually try the products in a cocktail, half of our cocktails are with Salty Paloma rimmers, and you can also make a custom one for you as well.
Amazing. I'll be there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining and listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please share with your friends and colleagues. You can share on social media, the email link, the newsletter, and so on. Let's continue to support these Canadian innovators and help them really grow into bigger brands. Awareness and knowledge is totally key. Anyways, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Cheers.